All right, welcome back to the 10th realm, guys. We had a busy week with Triumph. We're back now. We're hopefully going to be putting out some regular content as well as the battle reports that we'll be putting out and our RTDs. We're going to be doing new content, which is going to be the Duel in the Realms. It's a play on words because we're going to be doing a debate. 2 players on either side, or 1 player on either side, going to be fighting for their specific war scroll from any of the GW double kits. So anything that can build multiple variations from the same kit we'll be talking about on the show. We've got an entire list of stuff to go through. In today's episode we're going to be doing, and hopefully it's up there on the corners, we're going to be doing the Crypt Flayers and Cryptors from Flesh Eater Courts.
Oh boy. That's my good pen.
Alright, well, it's my pen now.
It's not your pen now.
So with me today on my left is Sean.
Hey guys, how's it
And
going?
on my right is Jake.
Hey guys.
And so the way the show is going to be working is we've got 3 questions. They're awarded points. So the first question we're going to be talking about is worth 1 point. Second question is worth 2 points, and the third question is worth 1 point. And in the event of a tiebreaker, we have a fluff-related thematic question that these 2 will have to answer. And so, call it in the air, Jake. Heads or tails?
Heads.
Sean, which unit do you want?
I'm gonna go with Cryptors.
Cryptors it is. Alright, so Sean's going to be fighting for the Cryptors. And Jake, you have the Crypt Flayers.
Alright.
So the plan with this show is that both players have experience with the unit, hopefully, from the tabletop. If not, they get a little bit of time to review the war scrolls, but we're trying to avoid Sean playing Deepkin. We're trying to avoid him talking about Deepkin because it will feel really one-sided if somebody's playing the army, and we'll be fighting for the unit. So hopefully we're going to be staying away from it, which is why we're starting with Flesh Eater Courts, because none of us play Flesh Eater Courts.
Well, you.
I did, but
So you know.
sort of. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. So this is the goal with this is hopefully new players starting, they buy a box, they don't know which one to build. This is the go-to, hopefully, from our perspective anyway. So question 1 is set in a vacuum. So not talking about the book or the allegiance or anything like that. Why does your war scroll have a better profile from basic stat lines, including special abilities and maybe even keywords on the war scroll? But again, this is a vacuum, it's a war scroll only. Sean, what do you think?
Okay, well starting off with Cryptors. Movement 7, so they're pretty speedy for what I call like medium infantry. 4 wounds each. 5 up save, bravery 10. So 10 bravery. They're not going to be affected by a lot of spells and abilities that target bravery specifically, especially when most deal mortal wounds. So bravery 10 kind of buffs them a little bit there. They have 3 attacks each, and the leader makes 4 attacks. On 4s, 3s, no Ren, but 2 damage. And because in Sigmar damage spills over, that means these guys can reasonably take on Horde units. And then just getting into their abilities, if they roll a 6 to wound, they do 3 damage each. So at that point, they can start taking on some bigger things as well, not just infantry. They heal a wound in the hero phase, so that's always nice. Especially, without taking anything else into account, just 1 wound healed is good. And then they are able to reroll hits, but that uses some other army abilities. So in a nutshell, I think they're good. 2 damage each really allows them to take on bigger hordes of units.
Okay, Jake, rebuttal, why is yours better?
Okay, so Crypt Flayers, they have a 12-inch move and they have fly, so definitely that right there makes them a little bit better than the horrors there, so they can jump over that terrain and grab those objectives that you're looking to maybe save, and you can hide them. 4 wounds, just like the Crypt Horrors, and 5 up save. Yeah, they both have 5 up saves, and 10 bravery as well. So nothing really, is going to get them maybe besides like a bravery bomb army where you're bombing the crap out of that. But so they have a missile attack at 10-inch range, which is only 1 attack for each guy. Base unit size is 3, so they can they roll a die for each model in the unit, and on if you roll greater than the target's bravery. So if you're attacking, we'll go with liberators. If you're attacking Stormcast Eternal Liberators with that ability, you add 1 to this roll. If you roll 6, you deal mortal wound. Because the liberators are bravery 6, and they add 1. The Crypt Flayers add 1 to this roll. So you're rolling a 7 on that roll. You deal mortal wound. But so that's pretty good for a shooting attack, just straight up mortal wounds. And then in close combat, they're pretty good. They have 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 damage, and or -1 rend and 1 damage. But on a 6 up to hit, they're gonna do a mortal wound instead of their normal damage. So they're pretty reliable if you have some way to, I guess can't really say that you gotta modify that, but the mortal wound on a 6 up is pretty good, I think. So, and then the leader is making a 5th or an extra attack, so I think that's pretty good.
Okay. Sean, really quick rebuttal as to why Jake is wrong about being the better.
I think the shooting attack is really mediocre since it's only a D6 value. Yes, it is a mortal wound, but for the average being a 6 across the game, most of the time you aren't going to get those off. And yes, the speed is nice, but if you're relying on these guys to take objectives, your medium infantry, instead of some of your more smaller units, I don't think they're really doing the jobs that they should be doing.
Okay. And Jake, your rebuttal as to why Sean's wrong.
Okay, so I mean, if you do put them on an objective, though, they're gonna sit there. They're probably gonna either A, attack an objective that's already being held, or B, hold that objective. You would use them to attack an objective on the opponent's side, not one that's on your side, clearly. But and then, I feel like Cryptors are also, with their 3rd ability, they kind of need more help, I guess, to really get going. And then that's really what I got.
Okay. I think that, Sean, you made the better argument on that one. So you're going to get 1 point.
Okay.
And we're going to go on to the second question, which is, why does your War Scroll fit better into a competitive list than your opponent's? Now you can look at the Battle Tome as a whole and other synergies that might be there, and we're going to start with Jake this time.
Okay, so to be honest, I don't really know the Flesh Eater Court's Battle Tome that much. So I know that doesn't the Ghoul King on the dragon gives an extra attack or something like that to Crypt Flayers? Or not Crypt Flayers, just his units?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's the thing. I didn't really look at the other War Scrolls.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Okay. Sean.
Okay, so Crypt Horrors are going to fit into a Flesh Eater Court's army better for a few different reasons. They're the same points cost as Crypt Flayers. They're both 160. Both start at 3 guys. And Crypt Horrors, with their 3rd ability, which basically is that they can reroll failed hit rolls if they're within 15 inches of a Ghoul King, a Burnt Ghoul King. That's really good army-wise, because you're going to be taking either the Ghoul King on the ground or on one of his mounts. So they're pretty much always going to have this buff up. Since they're the medium infantry, they also have the ability to be taken as battle line when you include their courtier, their character version of them, in the army. So if you did want to have a beefier army of these guys, medium infantry, kind of similar to ogres, as your whole army, you could do that as opposed to having a bunch of the smaller units, which at the time that we're recording this, you'd have to pay points to bring back on, but in the future that may not be the case. Oh, it won't be the case.
Right, with free something.
Yep.
Just to help you out a little bit, Jake, on this one, the Crypt Flayers themselves fill in a role in the army that with 4 wounds each, you're paying for a unit of 3 with a 12 wound count that goes out and has a 12-inch reach.
Right.
It's something that the rest of the army can't really do. If you're gonna, the Terrorgeists and Zombie Dragons are nice, but they're not necessarily hyper competitive. The Terrorgeist is really strong, but it's an expensive unit, whereas these guys can fly out. They can deal with a 10-man company of Arcanauts or a 10-man Free Guild unit on an objective way faster than Crypt Horrors can, and especially in the current iteration of the General's Handbook, the being able to score at the end of any player turn is prevalent in a few of the missions, so being able to reach out, take an objective, even if you have to grind it out for a turn, you're going to be getting that objective eventually, and being able to have that reach from the 12-inch move is way more valuable than, say, the 6 of the Crypt Horrors or the 7 on the Crypt Ghouls have 6 and Crypt Horrors have 7, so they have a higher reach where they don't necessarily need to be in the center of the army like the Terrorgeist does to lend that massive point sink anchor in your army. So that round goes hands down to Sean, who wins that. And now on the third question, which is a little bit softer than anything else, why does your War Squirrel look aesthetically cooler than your opponent's, Sean?
I think the Crypt Horrors have a little bit more of a matching aesthetic with the rest of the army. They've got all the bones and undead bits coming out of their back, which matches the rest of the army. Most of the time, the artwork depicting of them is, they're covered in blood because they've just been ravaging enemy units. And they're just big, giant, almost werewolf-looking guys. Like, that's pretty sweet.
All right, Jake?
So, if you guys ever seen the Underworld series, I think that Crypt Flayers look like the vampires from that, like when they transform, and that's pretty cool. And they also have like those spine type things coming out of their back, so it still kind of fits in there. But the big, huge wings that you see when you're looking at them across the table just catches your eye immediately, and I think that's really cool.
Oh my God, there's so many Underworld movies.
Yeah, I know. There's like 7 of them now, but
I didn't even know that they were vampires that turned into anything other than angst.
Yeah, they're like old school guys turn into them.
Yep.
But I definitely think that the wings are like really cool, and I like them a lot. They have that face too that looks more like vampirish and everything like that. So I just think that they look a lot more like vampires classically than you would think than the Crypt Horrors.
Personal bias might be seeping into this one, but I'm going to agree with you. I think the Crypt Flayers look cool. So, a pretty handy defeat here, Crypt Horrors being in the box. And now that the debate section is over, do either of you have a different stance than the one that you were chosen or awarded? Do you think one is better?
Sean and I were definitely sitting here discussing the 2 different War Scrolls a little bit before we started recording this. Mm-hmm. And Horrors are pretty good, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the flares are nice. Yeah, they're fast. But in the current General's Handbook 2018, so 17,
18,
most of the missions benefit giant hordes of infantry over elite infantry holding it. So yeah, they're fast. Yeah, they can get up there. But most of them is if you have the 20-man unit there.
Yep. And then we're gonna go ahead and read off the tiebreaker question, which hopefully there is some background information on these units, fluff-wise anyway. Which of the 2 units that we discussed, Crypt Horrors or Crypt Flayers, are regarded as good omens when they're seen by their other kin?
Oh, it's the Horrors.
I think it's the Flayers.
Oh, it is?
Crypt Flayers are found circling over the battlefield beforehand, and they are good omens for the rest of the mission.
Because the Horrors are the night guys, aren't they?
Yes.
They're the ones that are clad in armor when they see them.
Mental images that they are knights.
Yes.
Because these guys are pretending assholes.
Yeah, pretty much, when they see each other.
So we're going to try to keep these episodes short. Hopefully moving forward we won't have to have as much introduction and everything. We'll just be able to jump right into the topic. And we do have a free blood list that we can actually, I'm not sure if we're going to do everything because there's a couple that are
well, we might have to go back if we don't. Some things get modified next week.
But this is going to be the starting off, and we're going to try to keep these 15 episodes so they're easily digestible. And if you're going to have somebody in your game group that's like, I don't know what unit I want, you can play it. So thanks for stopping by, guys.